The Aztecs you never met. Empire of lost technology. In the vast highlands of what we now call Mexico, an empire emerged that defied the logic of its time and whose technological sophistication still endures. Perplexing. 21st century scientists, the Aztecs, popularly known for their military feats and imposing temples, hold an even deeper history. That of a civilization where science, art, architecture, and spirituality intertwined to shape a society whose knowledge surpassed, in many aspects, that of their European contemporaries. This is the story of the Aztecs that you may never have known, of an empire where technology was not only used to conquer and dominate, but also to feed, protect and connect its people with the mysteries of the universe. The empire that defied logic. The traditional image of the Aztec world is usually filled with dramatic stories, sacrifices, conquests, gold coveted by conquerors. But archaeological evidence tells another story, an even more fascinating one. The demented beings, capable of imagining and implementing solutions to environmental challenges that would make any modern city tremble, drinking water for hundreds of thousands, agriculture capable of feeding megacities in the middle of a lake, temples that were not only places of worship, but cosmic clocks made of stone. Behind the warrior's mask beats the mathematical pulse of an engineer, the analytical eye of the astronomer, and the precise hand of the architect. This documentary opens the doors to the Aztec Empire invisible in textbooks, a universe where science was part of everyday life, and every act, from planting corn to choosing the sacred place for a temple, responded to rules of efficiency, precision, and cosmic wonder. Advanced hydraulic technology. Long before Europe dreamed of intensive agriculture, the Chinampas in the Valley of Mexico were already covered by a network of artificial ecosystems so sophisticated that biologists today identify them as integrated biotechnology systems. The Chinampas, commonly called floating islands, were actually platforms of earth and plant matter, carefully anchored to the lake with live trees, willows and agjots, whose roots, far from just supporting, filtered and oxygenated the water. What is amazing is its productive capacity. While modern industrial agriculture aims for 2 or perhaps 3 harvests a year, a well-managed Chinampa could yield up to 7 harvests in the same period. The Aztecs designed a complex system of canals and sluice gates that allowed for amazing control of the water level, anticipating floods or droughts through precise geometric calculations. Nutrient control was not left to chance. Plant remains, fertile mud rescued from the canals, and even the strategic incorporation of fish and birds completed a perfect cycle of recycling and pest control without the need for artificial pesticides. The technical legacy of Chinampas goes beyond agricultural efficiency. They constitute one of the first and most successful forms of what we now call regenerative agriculture. This was not simply a method of survival, but a living application of ecological engineering. The canals were arranged in patterns that follow remarkable geometric proportions, facilitating passage by canoe, water management, and defense in case of attack. In the heart of the city of Ostitlan, an elaborate system of dikes, dams and aqueducts provided drinking water and isolated waters from Lake Texcoco, showing an advanced hydraulic understanding, predating by centuries the urban planning of many European capitals. Weapons, engineering and war, technology that is not taught in schools. In the collective memory, Aztec weaponry is often reduced to images of primitive clubs, but the Ma wheel, their emblematic weapon, was quite the opposite, a lethally precise piece of technology. Imagine a hardwood sword inlaid with obsidian edges, a volcanic stone polished at the molecular level, capable of achieving a sharpness greater than that of a modern surgical scalpel. Documents from the period indicate that a single blow from Magyobatu could cleanly dismember a horse, something unthinkable for any European metal weapon of the time. The defensive equipment was not rudimentary either. The shields of the Aztec warriors were made with alternating layers of cotton, pressed fibers, and leather, capable of stopping arrows and reducing the impact of blunt weapons, while maintaining mobility on the battlefield. It was dynamic protection designed for speed rather than static resistance, a principle that would be adopted centuries later by modern armor technology. Each campaign was an industrial logistical feat, where the provisioning of food, water, weapons and reinforcements depended on meticulous plans, almost like a precision machine in full motion. Hidden codices and lost knowledge. However, much of this knowledge was lost in an act of systematic destruction that to this day defies any attempt at complete recovery. Of the thousands of Aztec codices that existed before the arrival of Europeans, only 4 survived. What was destroyed was not just history. It included technical treatises on astronomy, herbal medicine manuals, hydraulic maps, mathematical compilations, and demographic recording systems. Each codex was truly a multimedia information system. They combined images, symbols, colors, numbers, and narrative sequences to convey complex instructions. They were maps, calendars, agricultural technology manuals, and even legal treatises, all condensed on deerskin or matte paper painted with mineral pigments that last for centuries. By analyzing the surviving codices, modern scholars have discovered an admirable level of accuracy. The Bourbon Codex, for example, contains a solar calendar whose accuracy rivals the best European instruments of the Renaissance. The Borgia Codex, filled with diagrams and astronomical cycles, presents a symbolic and mathematical understanding of Venus and its phases, encoded in complex systems of counting and geometry. Losing these codices was like losing an entire library of technological solutions and ideas ahead of their time. Aztec astronomy. Who taught them? The Aztecs were so advanced in observing the sky that archaeoastronomers still debate how they managed, without modern optical technology, to determine solstices, equinoxes, and lunar cycles with an accuracy that often surpasses that of their European contemporaries. Among his achievements, the mastery of the synodic cycle of Venus, which is 584 days, stands out, and which the astronomer priests measured with a minor deviation at midday after decades of observation. This knowledge was reflected in the very design of the city and its main temples. The Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan, a predecessor civilization revered by the Aztecs, is aligned with the apparent sunrise and sunset on key dates, turning the architecture into an astronomical artifact. The main temple, the spiritual and political heart of Tenochtitlan, was carefully built based on the exact point where the sun rose during the equinoxes, producing light and shadow phenomena revered in cosmic festivities. Thus arises the great unknown. Did the Aztecs acquire this knowledge independently? Or were they heirs to even older lineages such as the Toltecs and the Teotihuacans? Or perhaps even cultures lost in the mists of time? In the deepest layers of their knowledge, the Aztecs themselves recognized their debt to masters of the past, perpetuating rituals, architectural styles and techniques, whose roots are lost in the mists before the empire. Warrior gods, sacrifices, and ritual energy. If anything has marked the imagination of the Aztec civilization, it is the practice of ritual sacrifice, but far from being a mere act of barbarism. As many chroniclers wanted to see it, the sacrifice was fused with the entire energetic and political conception of the Mage cosmos. It was genuinely believed that spilled blood, especially that of warriors and nobles, was the essential fuel that ensured the balance and continuity of the universe. The Aztec armies functioned simultaneously as a military order and a spiritual brotherhood. There were initiatory orders such as the Jaguar and Eagle warriors, whose training included not only war skills, but initiations into cosmological knowledge, secret rituals, and meditation. Their role on the battlefield was both practical and symbolic. They embodied the generative force of the cosmos, the power of war as a means of renewal and balance. The temples, magnificent works of engineering and art, were also technological instruments, true symbolic machines designed not only to gather crowds, but to accurately measure time cycles, solstices, equinoxes, and eclipses. Each sacrifice, each procession activated cosmic forces in a precise choreography of science, religion, and power. Conclusion: the Empire of Lost Technology, the Aztec Empire, was not only a military power. It was above all a civilization where science, art, mathematical regularity, symbolism and precision coexisted in an astonishing balance. Their agricultural knowledge, the Chinampas, unparalleled models of regenerative agriculture, their millimeter-precise astronomical understanding, their molecular precision weapons, and their multifaceted information systems surpassed in many cases the known technology of their time. This is the legacy of a people who not only dreamed of dominating their environment, but of understanding and transforming it, who not only used war as a means of expansion, but as a liturgical and cohesive act, who not only built monumental pyramids, but oriented them with such accuracy that they still amaze engineers and physicists today, and whose creativity, passion, and scientific precision invite us to rethink what it means to be an advanced civilization. This documentary is an invitation to look at the Aztecs with different eyes, the heirs of knowledge as ancient as time itself, capable of transforming a lake into a garden, of turning war into science and sacrifice into cosmic energy. The empire of lost technology is not a romantic myth. It is a reality so extraordinary that if we were to fully recover it today, perhaps we would once again admire and learn from this legacy capable of changing the destiny of Mesoamerica and our own. It awakens a different perspective on ancient civilizations. If you enjoyed this documentary, please give us a like, ring the bell, and subscribe to Let's Rewrite Our History.